like a craft beer through a pint glass. These are the gays of our lives. A show where Lisa and Avery get out their gay decoder rings to decipher the gay alphabet and bridge the gap between the older and younger LGBTQ community and everyone fucking else. And now here are your hosts, Lisa and Avery. Don't blame them.
Hey guys, it's Lisa.
And Avery.
And today on The Gays of Our Lives,
We have famous magician Andrea Merlin.
who has been dubbed Queen of Magic by Penn Jillette himself.
Ta-da! He says, there's a lot of kings of magic, but you really are the queen. So there we go.
That's a great impression.
Oh,
even.
well, it's sort of.
And really, this is
I
actually...
do tell her better, but then nobody knows. In fact, he called. Somebody had me call him up once during a challenge, and he says, "Yeah, it's me, but then how do they know?" You know,
It's true.
You'd have called your father. Yeah.
It's true. I wouldn't know what he sounds like.
Yeah.
Except for when I, looked him up on YouTube to see what he sounded like on
Yeah.
interviews and stuff. But
Yeah.
So now we've had you on before,
Right.
and when you were on before, you were not dressed like this.
No, we were all audio. This is nice. Look at this humongous studio.
Yeah, you're
Jeez.
the first person to actually see the upgrade, I
Oh,
guess.
this is
you know.
wonderful.
Yeah.
This is
So,
great.
but you identify as.
Well, probably a trans male, but transvestite, transsexual, transgender. I mean, I'm on hormones,
Okay.
so, and I have been on hormones since about 1989, so that's 20 years. And when I was 50, I went to a doctor and had it done legally. I did self-prescribe first, was extremely stupid, in case anybody wants to know that. Although I had done all the literature, so I knew what I was doing. In fact, when they finally did my blood work, they said, it's perfect. My liver functions were right and everything else, so that was nice. And But I guess I'm gay, but not homosexual. That's the easiest way to explain it. My friend Jenny Lakes used to say that, Merlin, you're just gay, but not homosexual. Because she loved my wife. My wife made a lot of her clothes, too. And I have been married now 41 years.
Today's your
Today's
anniversary.
my anniversary.
Yeah.
As we tape this,
Anniversary.
yeah, thank you. And we live on the east side in a very normal neighborhood, and and the neighbors all. When I used to deliver singing telegrams, people always were a little wondering, because sometimes I'd go out as a gorilla, or I'd go out dressed, or I'd be wearing a fairy outfit or something. And I think after a while they just sort of got used to it. Well, who are they today? I remember somebody saying that. And it's actually taken one of our neighbors almost 20 years just to sort of break the ice with me and find out that there's nothing unusual, but she's a church-going person, and it took a while for her to come to grips with all of this. And she's so my whole goal in life is just live my life and then witness to what I am. And there are so many unusual people out there who are already judged by some people, and they shouldn't be. And in fact, I think we all do it. We all, as soon as we see somebody, we know, oh, that has to be. You see somebody on a Sunday at a restaurant, they're wearing a long skirt, it's one of those churches, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it turns out they aren't. It's just they like long skirts.
Yeah.
That's all there is to it. And I'm trying to be better at what I do and less judgmental and not have as much road rage. Sometimes.
Right.
It's just like any normal person. It's just that I happen to like to be pretty sometimes. But most times, I'm no makeup on and t-shirt and jeans and cutting my lawn and digging my garden like everybody else, and putting on magic shows for people. I've been doing magic now for 62 years.
Wow.
Since I was about 5. I started thinking the other day about it, and I did my first show when I was in second grade, where I was 7 or 8 in second grade, because I started late in the year. So that means it's at least 60 years, but that means that also there was a couple years I was interested before I did the shows.
Yeah.
So
So it was like your first magic show. What was that? Like when
I
you
was
were
a
still-
church basement.
Okay.
You know, and then I did a show. I did a second grade talent show in Pashley School in Scotia, New York, which is near Schenectady, and I did all real close-up stuff. Nobody could see anything. You know, it was just ridiculous. You know, but it was my first show, and I got through it. And you know, I used to say I'm the Great Martini with my two brothers, Dry and Extra Dry, because my real name's Taylor Martin. And you know, which you know, for a second grader, if they didn't have parents that drank, they didn't understand that. So you know, my first show was
But
really
all the
interesting.
teachers did. So.
Yeah. Well, it's like my first drag show. The first time I ever did it in public. I was at the Famous Door. Now, the Famous Door was this great bar just down the street from the state capitol. All the queens there had to have Mr. in front of their first names. Because sometimes you get some of those legislators during session getting a little drunk. Hey, baby, come here. So it was like Mr. Tracy Adams or Mr. Tony Warren, that sort of thing, you know. And just to make sure that, you know, they didn't think they could pick up this girl in the evening and then all of a sudden there'd be a scandal at the State House, you know, that kind of thing. And so that was my first play, but which was funny. The thing I'm going to do here in a minute, the first trick I'm doing is this rope trick, and I'm having this guy in the front row help me, and about halfway through the trick, I realized he was blind.
Oh.
You know, that was a real good start.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, wow.
You know, and but his friend was there, and his friend helped me out, and it was cool. In fact, I did an amateur night. It was a Wednesday night, and I was invited back for the weekend. It was the first time I think anybody was ever on amateur night that was invited to come back and do shows that weekend. And that was great. And I, you know, first time I walk into a drag dressing room, I go, I'm home. You know, there's a mixture of perfume and testosterone that nowhere else. It's probably one of my favorite places in the world is to be in a drag dressing room and see transformations happening and things. And Tony Warren said, sit your butt down here, girl. You know, and she said, you gotta wear shorter skirts. Your legs are great. Look at all them. They're wearing short skirts and they can't wear, you know. She gave me all this stuff. Tony was one of the greatest people. Tony was lovely. Her hand shook like this, but she put on perfect eyeliner. That tip of that pencil never moved. You know, and her hand may be shaking up and down, but the eyeliner was perfect.
Wow. So, when did you realize that you were born in the wrong body, per se?
Well, not born in the one that I would have liked. I don't know. You know, if it was the wrong body, I would have trans completely. You know, I would have had the angioplasty, not the penectomy and all that stuff, and the vagioplasty. But probably about 7 or 8 years old, I was watching Maybelline commercials on Ed Sullivan. They said, why have eyes like these when you can have beautiful eyes like these? And I like the transformationals, and I got this little, you know, sexual rise out of it. Oh, this is nice. And, you know, trying to go into mom's drawer and find her eyeshadow and things like that. I think everybody who's a little trans, you know, tries to sneak around. You know, they're a little embarrassed by what they're doing. And which I think with the openness today, it's good and bad sometimes. I think there still should be some of that because it helps, I think, to make you understand or feel better when people don't understand you because you were there in your first time. You didn't understand it.
Yeah.
And so I'd say it was at least, the latest was probably 8, maybe as early as 6. I bought my first ladies' clothes when I was 12 or 13. My dad had a store in Hartford, Connecticut, and I was working for him, a music store. And so I was making money, and I'd go out and on my breaks and buy eyeshadow and, you know, pantyhose and things like that. And this was when pantyhose was first coming out. I mean, up until then it was stockings and garters, and so of course pantyhose were, ooh, and look at all the colors, you know.
Yeah.
And you know, and I would like sitting next to the girl in class that she had everything coordinated. You know, she had the red stockings, the red outfit, you know, the really red lipstick, or one day it was orange, and it was, you know, so she had everything coordinated. And yeah, I got a little thrill out of that, I have to say, you know, so I would.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
So do you maybe consider yourself more non-binary, you think?
I think so. I think, you know, the only reason you give labels to things is really to try to convict people of crimes. You know, try to give them something that's illegal. You know, it's like music. The only reason you should label music is that if music you don't like. You know, I'm not a big fan of country, yet I like country music. You know, but there are certain types of rap that I don't get. I just don't understand them. And this band from Korea, BTS, forget it. There's too much pastel in that band. I'm sorry. And it looks like aerobics to me that they're doing. I just don't
I
get
think it's
it.
just a lot of moving colors and kids
Yeah.
like that.
Oh,
I don't know.
yeah.
That's usually what I go for when I don't understand what's going on there. So.
You know, I grew up on Frank Zappa and Led Zeppelin and Vandergraaf Generator and all these other very strange and weird bands. I was a DJ for probably about 8 years, between college and a professional station in Franklin, Indiana, and so I, you know, actually we had a radio station, the one I worked at, which was WIFN. It isn't even there anymore on the dial. Went off at 11 o'clock every night, because they didn't want to pay anybody for overnight.
Yep.
It was kind of interesting. So the last hour, there were no commercials. So I played whatever I wanted. You know, I was playing Genesis, I was playing Vandergraaf, I was playing early Fleetwood Mac, you know, before they became the pop band, when they were still a blues band. And, well, Vandergraaf, which is a favorite band of mine. They had a 23-minute long song called "A Plague of Lighthouse Keepers," and I'd freak people out with that thing. You know, and it's just I've always enjoyed more odd music. The Beatles really weren't that important to me till I got to college. I liked their tunes, but then I understood their importance. But in '71 I discovered Frank Zappa, and that was everything. I mean, I saw Frank 14 times and sat on stage 3 times.
Wow.
And I've got all 100 of the original albums, plus about 40 cover albums by other bands, and a couple of things that I sang on myself with a group called Project Object. I sang "Let's Make the Water Turn Black," and it's sort of, it's gotten around. Have you heard this thing? People are saying, "Yeah, I'm the one that sang that." Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's you. Oh, you know. So I like that kind of stuff. I like odd things, and it isn't because I've gone out of my way to like odd things. I've gone out. What I like is just. You can like the mundane. You can like all the wonderful normal stuff. You know. You can like Big Bang Theory, but I'm gonna watch The Tick.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, and I love The Tick, that kind of stuff, and so I've been going and doing this for years, and I used to do, well, I was explained earlier, I did Singing Telegrams dressed. I actually been on the floor of the Senate in drag, you know, whatever you want to call it, all dressed up. And it's interesting, you go on the floor of the state Senate all dressed up without any state policemen worrying about you. But if you go in as a gorilla,
Oh yeah.
you got to take the head off. They got to make sure you get nothing in the suit,
Right.
everything
The
else.
padding's not hiding
Right?
up.
Yeah, that you're not.
Like,
Yeah, so,
yeah, of course.
right, you know. So, and then you got to take it off on the way out, so that they make sure you're the same person leaving that went in.
Wow.
You know, it's just that strange, weird world that we live in. You know, and you know, why can't we all get along? Because nobody really wants to. They want to be angry at something. You got to identify something you don't like, so that people can say, "Oh, well, I don't like that too. We must be the same." No.
And I love how you identify as Taylor.
That's Taylor. Yeah.
Period. That's what you identify as.
Yeah.
It's not because you don't like the labels and stuff, but and like I said the other day, it's more of a need for people to know what something is.
Yeah.
And I think it's more for people to go, okay, I don't get it. What are you?
If you're
And
having
I
problems,
think we got that from when we were children.
yeah, and if you're having problems, go to a licensed clinical social worker or somebody, you know, that specializes in it. I have one that I went to that I recommend to everybody. When my wife was a teacher, she'd get once in a while somebody'd say, "Well, your husband dresses as a woman once in a while." Yeah, well, my son, you know, and then we send them. I never find out how it happened, what happened, and what went on, but we are friends with one of her students has fully transitioned into Amy, and I've met her children. She's still married to her wife. And I've met her child, and it's a very well balanced child. Now, you know, Daddy's now her mom, you know, and she has 2 moms now, so there's no problem with that. And she actually transitioned in Indianapolis, which is nice. One of the things down at IUPUI, I guess, one of the hospitals at IU has a trans program now, which is very, very
Yeah,
nice.
that's where Jennifer had hers.
Yeah.
Oh, is that IUP?
Yeah.
It was IU.
Oh, okay.
IU.
Yeah, so it's, you know, to have that in Indiana, that's amazing
Yeah,
to
Oh,
me.
yeah.
it is.
You know,
Well, that's really come such a long way, and I didn't realize how lucky I am for how much it's come along, like really in the past couple of years. You know, because I just recently went to Gender Nexus for the first time and really talked to them about like, you know, what is available, and then they were even explaining like, you know, even just having like all of this available in the last 10 years is
the change that has happened in Indiana, as much as they want to drag us back into the past, as much as people want to get safe again, and they think it's because they're going to get votes from the rural people. Hey, some of those rural people are really freaking smart. They know what's going on. You know, that's the thing I don't understand is when they treat their constituents as stupid just to be and keep them stupid. You know, that's why they're messing with the schools. They want more stupid people, so they aren't, you know, researching. They aren't looking into federal records, or they aren't looking into the backgrounds of people.
well, you know, and I feel like, you know, lack of information causes like a panic, and unfortunately that makes people angry, and that's when you do get those high opinions and labels being used in the wrong way, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think that that's like a huge thing that's just been going on recently, and just caused this really awful division.
Yeah, that's the problem. And I think, you know, when I get people come up to me and they say, well, I'm thinking about it, I said, well, why not? Well, I don't know what mom and dad will say. Well, what did your mom and dad say about whatever?
Yeah.
And they, well, they were all right with it. Well, then they may be all right with this. You know, there's a story now where an adopted girl was thrown out of her house because she came out as being lesbian. And the Queer Eye people showed her on, and then somebody who saw the show decided to raise money so she could go back to college. They've raised over $100,000 from a total stranger.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
From a total stranger. You know, so your adopted parents really didn't want to love you as you are, you know. I've told the story in the last show. My dad, who wasn't really sure about it, Mom and Dad went to Las Vegas in 1982 for the first time. And they didn't have any shows to go see the night they got there. And they saw, oh, Boylesque is in the hotel. My father, I don't want to see no goddamn firefights or anything, kind of thing. And my mom goes, Jack? You know how your mom can always talk to your dad when she calls him by his, Jack, you might as well go see what your son is doing. And he called me up at 2 a.m. in the morning. He said, well, if you do what I just saw as well as what they did, I'll never be embarrassed by you. And so Dad and I have been really cool about it ever since. He's 96 right now. He's got a picture of me as Taylor and as Andrea sitting on his nightstand in the home that he's in. And people go, well, who are those two? Wait, is that your other daughter? No, that's my son. You know, and this is in Connecticut. You know, this is
It's like what?
yeah.
What?
The state where my mom got in trouble because she wanted to paint the shutters of our house orange. You know?
Oh yeah. So, does he just say, "Well, she's a famous magician"? I mean, because he kind of bragged about you, I'm sure, right?
Yeah, he still says he's a famous magician that does that as a character.
Yeah.
You know, and he's easy with it. You know, and whatever. You know, if I've got friends that who well, here's one of my best friends. Their son was really starting to hang out with the wrong people, and this is when they lived over in Speedway. He was getting in trouble and things like that, and he was, you know, they were going to go beat up on a couple fags one night, you know, and the next day I came over. I was doing a telegram, and I came over just to spend some time before I had to go out on another telegram, and he met me, and he goes, "Mom, who's that?" "Oh, that's Taylor." "What?" "Well, that's Taylor. He does that." And he sat down and talked with me for a little while. And about 10 years ago, he came up to me. He says, "You know, you probably saved my life." He said, "That changed my whole attitude that day." And when these friends said, "Let's go beat up on some queers," and he said, "No, I don't think so." He says, "I've got a good friend who's been very nice to me, and I don't see anything wrong with him."
That's awesome. That's awesome.
You got to witness and not hide it.
Well, and really, I think like that's one of the great reasons, like one of the great things about having on the show the first time. Even it's really just about putting a face in front of something and making it less scary, or making it something that's understandable.
Yeah,
Exactly, it's understanding.
There's more and more. I'm running in. When I was working with a high school production of Pippin, I ran into a few of the youngsters who identified as trans. And I asked them. I said, "Are you going through? Are you meeting with a psychiatrist? Are you meeting with a social worker? To be certified for?" Oh no, I'm trying to take whatever the little pop thing is, like black cohosh or something like that, which is going to kill you. And I said, but you gotta go and find out. These people are out there to help you. They're not there to stop you. They just want to make sure that your life is your life, that you're not, a victim of the media that's telling you this is what you should be. And I found out a couple have gone, to one of the people I recommended, and that's been really nice. And I'm just really happy that, this is the way I am. And, I've only gotten maybe 1 or 2 hate letters over the years, and I say, sir or madam or whatever, that's fine, may your God forgive you.
Yeah. Amen.
And since I don't have a God, people ask me about religion. I say I'm a Discordian. What's that? I said it's a religion disguised as a big joke, not to be confused with big jokes disguised as religions. We don't have dogma. We have katma. The first katma is everything you know is wrong. The second katma is convictions cause convicts. And it all comes out of Robert Anton Wilson, the Illuminatus trilogy, and
Wow.
if you want to know what it is, look up Robert Anton Wilson and Illuminatus and Cosmic Trigger. That'll straighten you all out, and you'll actually get the jokes. Okay.
Real quick, will you do me a favor and do the rope chick?
I'll do the rope trick.
Because ever since you talked about it, I've been
You
like,
folks can sit there. I'm going to
Okay.
do the rope trick, and here we go. Let me get them untied here. Sometimes that's the hardest part of the trick.
Some really thin loops there.
Oh yeah, that'll be great. Okay, there we go. Well, okay, then here, let me separate the 2 ropes. Here, point to one. That one, great. Leaves us with this. When I was about 6 years old, my parents brought home a record that changed my life. Some people's the Beatles, with some people it's Beethoven, with me it was the Chipmunks. Oh, you've heard of the Chipmunks?
Oh, yeah.
How many are there?
3.
3.
And their names?
Alvin, Simon, Theodore.
Oh, you passed I step. That's wonderful. Okay. Well, one day they heard 4 chipmunks singing. Sound like this. Watch the real. Christmas, Christmas time is near. Time for toys and time for cheer. You can laugh. It's all right. We've been good, but we can't last. Hurry, Christmas, hurry fast. Watch the rope. While the plum that loops the loop. Me, I wrap my hula hoop. Alvin! Okay, we can hardly stand the wait. Please, Christmas, don't be late. Thank you. There we go. So
Wow.
Now, this is a piece of magic. It uses 1, it uses 2, it uses 3. Exactly equal lengths of rope, as you can tell. Of course it doesn't. We have a very long one here, correct, ladies?
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen. We have one sort of in between, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And this one we call Pee-wee.
All right.
I know you are, but what am I? So we're going to take and even up the ends. Now there's one even end right there. Whoops, hold on. Come here. There we go. Hold on. Let's do this right. It's on camera. Hold on. Okay. There's one even end right there. There's 2 even ends right. And there's 3 even ends right there. So we have 3 even ends there and 3 even ends there. If you don't look at the middles, they all look the same. But that's not magic. That's politics. So we need a magic word, and the magic word today is stretch, stretch, stretcho. And before you had 3 of a different length, now you have 1, and now you have 2, and now you have 3, which are all just about the same, just like that.
Wow.
I know, it gets better. I've seen it before. In fact, I'll tell you what, let's do this again. Here, hold on to those 2 ends. As soon as you touch them, the spell is broken. Look, there's the long one, there's the in-between one, there's
Oh
Pee-wee.
my gosh.
The magic happened right in your hands. Don't do that often, you'll go blind. I'll do this again because I can. All right, one more time. All right, okay. There's 1 even end. There's 2 even ends. And there's 3 even ends. And since you folks have seen this before, I'll do the short version. Stretch. Locked. There we go. And once again, we have 1 and 2 and 3. Now, I could keep doing this all day long. Be incredible magic, but also be incredibly boring. So we'll do the big finale. Right over left and left over right, just like I learned from a Girl Scout many years ago. Okay, I ate a lot of cookies. It's better than eating a lot of brownies. Alice B. Toklas. I'd rather be known as a junkie than a pedophile. So anyway, wouldn't we all?
Right.
Anyway, but this is the big finale. In fact, I learned this from a magician we just lost, Johnny Thompson, many years ago. And he told me that no matter what you do at the end of the magic trick, never ever end up with a rope that has knots in it. So you end up with one long piece of rope. There's something you just don't see every day. And I thank you very much.
Oh
for
my
your
gosh.
attention. Ta-da!
Wow.
The rope trick!
Wow.
Yep. And I've been singing that's a true story. I've been singing like a chipmunk since I was 5 or 6 years old when Dad brought home the record, and I still have it. I still have the 45.
Wow.
And it still plays. It's pretty amazing. And he also brought home Tom Lair's Poisoning Pigeons in the Park and Rusty Warren's Bounce Your Boobies. Now, I didn't know what Bounce Your Boobies meant. All I know is bounce your boobies, move them up and down, boys. And I thought, oh, this is wonderful. And then Mom later explained to me what boobies were, and I shouldn't be singing that around the other children.
Oh.
Right, it's not the birds on the beach. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right. Yes. Yes, that's it. That's it. It's not the birds on the beach.
That's awesome. I've never heard that. I've never heard that.
What? You've never heard that?
Oh no! I'm adding that one to the show.
You could
Greg.
have it.
good.
I'll give you a writer's
My
credit.
gift to you.
Right? That's the birds on the beach.
That's too funny.
That's great.
It's not throwing the birds on the beach during an
I've
earthquake.
never said
Okay.
that to you.
Yeah, I've never heard
Oh,
that
that's
in
too
my life.
funny.
And I said, I'll say, I ain't talking about birds on a beach.
Talking about your boobies.
Because blue-footed babies.
I'm gonna be thinking about.
I guess
that
I
for
wouldn't have
hours.
said that to you.
So anyway, that's what I do, and then I'll do close up. This is close up. I can do, I do some stage stuff, and I've done big shows, little shows. I'm managing a young magician named Cody Clark right now who has autism,
Oh, wow.
and so we're doing a lot of things with autistic groups. Or we were at the Access Ministry at the Creek just on Saturday, and he did a big festival show there.
Oh, I saw that on
Yeah.
your Instagram.
Mhm.
Yeah.
He does a show called A Different Way of Thinking, and it's not about his way of thinking. It's about how people come out from seeing the show that they have a different way of thinking, even though it starts with his different way of thinking. And the whole show is about how magic helped him with his autism. So we're doing. I'm helping book him into a lot of different autism awareness shows and things like
yeah.
that. And that's very interesting to find trans people or gay people with autism, because they're really trying to find their center. They're thinking in different ways, and they're wondering if their autism is causing them to think this way.
Well, because if you're told that you're thinking wrong anyway.
You're
Yeah.
thinking wrong, or you're not thinking
normal.
so that you can do normal things. See,
Yeah.
that's the way it is now. It isn't that you don't think the same way, because you're still gonna, some are still gonna be able to, like, they'll smell colors and things like that. Whatever on the spectrum that there are, and there's so many versions of the spectrum too. And I think it's the same thing with sexuality. There's a spectrum, that it hasn't been really defined as to what people are. But as people become freer and more open, and thank goodness for the internet, which allows you to get more of a forum for people,
Oh, yeah.
I think you get more and more contributions. And I'll sit down and ask somebody, okay, so why do you hate me without knowing me?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Being that I am an atheist, I have friends who are born again, and I have Jewish friends and Islamic. I have friends that aren't everywhere on all the spectrum of religion. My religion is life.
Yeah.
They asked me, what keeps you from doing bad things? I said, because I don't like to do bad things. I grew up with parents who taught me right, and I got some of that from the Lutheran upbringing, and I think it's just that you have to go through life not hurting people on purpose. Everybody's going to hurt someone sometime, either by the way they behave or something they do without thinking. And you just have to say, I'm sorry once in a while. You have to say, I wish I could be something else, but this is what I am. And when I find people who come up to me and they said, I saw you do such and such, And then all of a sudden, you know, my whole life has been changed. It's like being on the radio and playing a record. There's a guy that used to listen to me, and he said I changed his whole life. He went from listening to like middle of the road stuff to listening to the progressive rock that I like. And he ended up opening the biggest Doctor Who store in the United States because
Wow.
he went and found out, he heard the music of Doctor Who, and he said, wow, this is great. This is more like the electronic stuff that Taylor's playing, you know, on the radio.
Mhm.
And so I always think, all you have to do is be a good person. You don't hurt people. And if for some reason you find out why. And they may have a legitimate point. You may have done something without thinking, you know, that you're being selfish or something. And it just makes you a more whole person when you find that out. I mean, I'm 66 years old. You know, I've seen everything. You know, I was born when Truman was in office. So the first president I knew was Eisenhower. And then after Eisenhower, we had Kennedy. And, you know, and then we got Nixon, you know. And it's like people trying to say Nixon was a good president. Yeah, the same people trying to say that Hitler was a humanitarian.
Quick question. So how often do you perform?
As often as I can. I mean, I really do.
On an average.
As Andrea, probably about 5 to 7 times a year. As Rodney the Younger, who's my colonial character, I'll do about 14 to 20 different kinds of shows.
Magic in that character?
Yeah, I'll do as Rodney. Yeah, he's a nice gent. He's born 1752. He's a bit of a high flyer, but he's all right. I'll work at the Feast of the Hunter's Moon. Excuse me. And Mississippi 1812. June, I'll be in Canada at an event at the Battle of Stony Creek for my 10th year there.
Wow.
That's awesome.
And that's the furthest north in the War of 1812 that the Americans got. And we lost. We lost that battle.
And you just agreed to do the Gong Show for juvenile diabetes.
Yes.
So that's pretty awesome.
That's
Thank you.
May 11th.
28th or 11th?
I think it's May 11th. I think it was May. Anyway,
Okay.
we'll find. Look at my website.
There you
I'm
go.
at Facebook at Taylor H. Martin
There you go.
or at Taylor Martin's Indie Magic. And take a look at that. And Magic Shows of Indianapolis. I'm also going to do a fringe show this year called Tasty Bits, the story and magic of Taylor Martin. Tasty Bits. I write a new story almost every Monday called "There's a Story to Be Told," and one of the people that reads it every week says, "You know, that's an anagram for Tasty Bits, or Tasty Bits is an anagram for There's a Story to Be Told." So that's what the show's can be called. And it'd probably be my last fringe show. After 15 years of doing fringe shows, this is the one, and I may just continue to do this. You know, if I go back to fringe, it'll be this show again. But it's all about stories like, here, I'll do a quick one. Had a little boy at a reenactment out on a field trip, and he really stood out because he's on a field trip and he's wearing a 3-piece suit. Plus, he's African American in Tennessee. And he goes, "You ain't no real magician." And I said, "Well, I'm as real as they've ever been." He says, "There ain't no such thing as magic." I said, "That's right, it's the art of deception." And he's trying to get me into an argument. You know, and finally his friend next to him hits him in the ribs and says, "Would you shut up? He's agreeing with you." And for both shows that day, that little boy was sitting in the front row on the straw bale, watching it, his mouth dropping open with everything that happened, when the balls disappeared, when the dive disappeared, when I was putting a sword through somebody's neck. And
Avery's good for that one.
she's going, "Well, actually, I got a finger chopper for her."
Oh,
We'll finish off with that.
I just got engaged. I need them all.
Okay. Oh no, well, nobody's been hurt.
Yeah.
Yet.
But he comes up to me and goes, "You are a real magician." I say, "I'm as real as they've ever been," and that's how I look at it. You know, and people say, "Ooh, it's the wonder, it's the magic." No, it's the art of deception, and I'm going to deceive you. I'm not going to treat you as stupid. I'm going to let you, but I may fool you.
Yeah.
I am going to entertain you, so that's the good thing. So, well, let's do one more trick.
I was gonna say,
We'll wrap it. We gotta wrap it up.
Can you fool me?
I can fool you. Have you?
From one of
Fooled
your
me
good
with the
friends.
robe.
Well,
one of your
I'll
good
tell you what.
friends
Put your
show.
hand out in front of you. We'll do it for her. That way you can watch. Have you ever had your promiscuity tested?
My what?
Promiscuity?
No.
Do you know what you know what that is?
No idea.
The ability of things to pass through your body with very little or no pain.
Oh God. Okay.
Okay. Thank you for your worship, but it's not necessary. Now, has anybody ever done this to you before in public? Okay. In Indiana, this is in Indiana, it's against law, but in New York, it's a good time. So,
Oh, God.
is that good and tight around your wrist? Is that again? It's
Yeah.
good, because it makes no sense when I pull it through otherwise. See, there's the loop, there's the knot, there's your... Now, did you feel that go through?
No.
Did it hurt?
No.
Good. That means you have great promiscuity. That means this won't hurt at all. Now, from the
my
ancient
God.
land of Nippon, now known as Japan, there are people known as the Yakuza.
Uh-huh.
Now, Yakuza actually translates to not very nice people.
Yep.
And anytime they dishonor themselves, they put their finger in this device and they chop it off with the knuckle. But if they're pure of heart like you are, no harm should befall you. So let me have a finger, not the one you give to truck drivers. Great. There we are. Okay. There we go. Now, are you feeling that?
Yep.
What? You felt that really?
Yep.
Oops. There's always a right way and a wrong way. I'll tell you what, here, let's just put this down here like this, just in case we have any accidents like the last time. That way we won't ruin your jeans. Okay. Now, are you attached to this?
Yep.
Not for much longer. Here we go. 1, 2, 3 days ago I became a cannibal. Now I'm looking for lunch in all the wrong places. Lady fingers, finger food, finger sandwich. 3, don't move. I want to show you something fabulous. Look at this. That solid piece of wood just went right through your finger.
Oh.
And if I take it off and the finger doesn't fall off, I usually get a round of applause from everybody. But you wiggle your finger, wiggle it. There we go, another miracle. Right here at Gainesville. No, not you. Don't watch it for half an hour either. And don't go swimming for at least an hour. And that's something of what I do. So
Wow.
and, yeah. So there we go. So
Thank you so much
You're
for coming
welcome.
on again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Next time, we're
Yeah.
going to get your third character.
yeah, we'll cut. We'll either do Rodney or we'll do Mistress Esmeralda Falenbo.
Oh, you have 4 characters.
Oh, there's also Dell, whose friends call him Dell. He's a magician from '67 who doesn't know it hasn't gotten another year. And there's Shammy Bay Faker. Oh no, Shammy Bay Faker.
Oh,
She's the infomercial girl. She sells things like Pandecanol and the female detroubleizers on the infomercials. And so I've got a whole repertoire of people. There's a
You're
lot of
just
people
an
running around in my head.
entertainer all around.
Yeah, that's
you
it.
really are.
I have Teller said you're one of the only people I know that has no fear. And I don't know what that really means, but I guess it's because I get up and if it goes south, it goes south. But if it goes south, you're still going to be entertained.
Yeah.
You can see me being a fool. And, I get paid for being a fool. Most people do it for free. Then they run for office.
Well,
that
thank you
costs more.
so much.
You're
though.
welcome.
We
Welcome.
appreciate you so much, and you've always been such a good ally to our
thank
our
you.
show.
And come and see the diabetes show.
Yeah, come to the Gong Show.
Yeah, come.
I'll be there. I'm not performing this year.
Down
I
at
got
the-
gonged last
Down
year.
at Primo's on National, down on the south side.
Yeah, I got gonged. But,
Did you get gonged?
I did.
It happens.
but that's okay.
Yeah,
Big
you-
things are happening. So,
Heck yeah.
but thank you so
You're
much.
welcome. You're welcome. And I can't wait till we do this again. We'll see you.
Oh.
We'll come back in about 6 months, folks.
There you go.
There we go.
All right, well, you can follow the gays on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. And then also check out our website, www.laughs.live.
And you can watch the episodes there or just on our YouTube. There's also a contact me page on our website. So if you have any questions, comments, or want to be on the show, let us know.
This has been Gaze of Our Lives. Make sure to check out the Gaze online at www.laughs.life. And since Lisa and Avery don't have a lot of money, this episode has been brought to you by
Higher Life CBD Dispensary for all your CBD needs. Located downtown Indianapolis at 901 North Pennsylvania Street. And make sure you tell them the gays sent you.